We love difficult deals. Here's another conversation between me, Courtney, and Leslie Victory about why she loves first-time homebuyers and an opportunity for a newer agent who wants to learn how to be better working with first-time homebuyers. Check out the conversation.
We wouldn't be doing the real estate industry service if we didn't talk about difficult transactions. One, because Courtney's here, and two, because Leslie's here. And the topic that I think that you should talk about, being that you're passionate about this group of people, is the first-time home buyer. Mm-hmm. And I know that you have first-time home buyer programs you put together, and you teach first-time home buyer classes. So what has drawn you so close to, or what has drawn your heart to first-time home buyers since you've been a real estate agent?
So I'll get very real with you. The true beginning of this is that I've never owned a home. I've never lived in a home. As a child, it's interesting because I'm 51, and I just had a realization. We lived in a van, which today, like, that's cool, right? Well, guess what? In 1984, it wasn't cool. Like, and I always thought, like, my mom kind of like glamorized some things like we have had houses, don't get me wrong, but for a lot of it, like, we didn't ever own a house, and we had these alternative lifestyle situations. When I was a child, I was like, well, this is just how it is. Yeah. And then as an adult, I'm like, it just hit me.
Yeah.
I was homeless. Like, I lived in a van.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? It wasn't a cool van. Like, we weren't, like, on the coast, like, doing TikTok videos. It wasn't that kind of van. And so what I started to realize as my own realization, and, a really core value for me is, if you know me, you don't have to like me, but I'm going to make your life better in some way. Even if you don't like me, at some point in your life, you're going to be like, you know what? That rotten blankety blank, but I learned something, or she helped me. That's my mission. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I was working with a first-time home buyer years ago, and I couldn't help them. I don't know. Maybe I had a kid or a kitten, or I don't know, something. And I needed to refer them to another agent. So I did. I referred them to an agent that I liked, thought would do a great job. And then they came back to me and they said, she can't help me. I was like, what do you mean? I said, well, let me just ask some questions to get to the bottom of this. And I was like, why can't you help them? Well, they don't have a credit. I'm like, well, their credit score is a 618. Like, yeah. What can't you help? Well, they don't have any money. Well, they don't need, okay, I understand what's happening here. You don't know how to help them.
You don't have enough resources.
So instead of telling them, I'm sorry, I'm not educated enough on the process to help you, you just look at them and say, it's not time. You can't do it. Yeah. And so I thought that was an isolated event. Yeah. And it's not. It's still happening. Yep. It happens all the time. Agents don't know. Agents don't know that there are 37 different down payment assistance and grant opportunities in the state of Louisiana at most any given time that are fully funded. They don't know that. Lenders look at people and say, no, that's not available. What the lender should say is, I'm not qualified. Yeah,
I don't have that program to be able to offer to you.
But they mislead the consumer. So this was a trend that I saw over and over and over again. And then I learned about creative financing. I have 5 or 6 different companies that actually buy houses for people. I have people like Courtney and Steve, and like there's just, if somebody has a will, now there are people you can't help. Sure. But if somebody has a will to own a house, I can get it done. Yeah. And so what I learned was, in the first-time homebuyer world, agents were part of the problem. And I'm not vilifying agents. Sure, yeah. Just in general, it was hard for me to find an agent that had as much knowledge as I did, had as many resources, understood stacking. I had a conversation with another agent this morning. I'm like, stack that. Even if they don't want to use DPA, down payment assistance, you can get them qualified for more if they use DPA, because their interest rate will be 5.9 instead of 6.9. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, agents don't know that.
Yes.
And so it's interesting to me, when I was going through all this and I was learning, and then I came to the conclusion, first-time home buyers are a subset of our real estate market that most people don't understand, don't know how to help. So it's ignorance on both sides.
Yeah.
The other thing is, so if I help, let's just say I help somebody in their, third-time buyer, they have cash, they're buying a house, $800,000. Great, I'm a project manager.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And they're
Really
like,
a process manager.
yeah, process manager.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, we love you, thanks, bye.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, great.
And the fires you're putting out are just like the
This person's got to work until 5 o'clock today. I need you to do a power of attorney or like basic stuff, not like complicated, technical things where you can really solve a problem for people.
Right, exactly. And they know what they're doing. I mean, they're not agents, but they've
done it before.
They've done it before. There's difference. But when I work with, like for instance, somebody I just worked with, she's a 26-year-old single mother of 2 that works at Sanderson Farms. She makes $17 an hour. She has a dream to buy a house. No one in her family has ever owned a home.
Wow.
We're talking generations, right? No one has ever owned a home. And she comes to me through one of my webinars and says, I want to buy a house, but I don't know what to do. So let's look at what you got. Let's look at what you want. Let's figure it out. We can make a roadmap for this. And so not easy, but done. Even to the point where she came in, she needed some work on her credit. She spent 1 year getting her credit up 100 points. Then she waited till she got, around to the next season. So her credit was up, not by like, it's not like she had an 850.
Yeah.
She was like literally sitting at a 620 borderline, right? And then we took a USDA product that a lot of people don't even know exists. So a USDA product that doesn't have a loan originator. So that's 0 down. Then we asked for concessions from the seller. And then we got down payment assistance on top of that.
Wow.
So you stacked.
So we stacked. We stacked it hard.
So when you say stacked, explain stacked to me.
So what you're doing is you're utilizing different resources.
Yeah. Small little tools to get the job done.
Correct. Financial resources and tools on one contract.
Nice.
So 0 down payment, seller concessions, on top of, you ready?
Down payment assistance.
This is a true story. You ready? Down payment assistance in the amount of $21,000.
Oh, wow.
That's
Wow.
huge.
And so we got,
And let's keep in mind that the house she's probably buying is probably not.
it's $154,000.
And so that's a huge percentage of that.
Yeah, $154,000.
That's more than enough down payment assistance that's going to cover her. It might even be able to buy down her rate.
We made it so that once we got her loan amount monthly to her budget, what she felt was palatable, right? Once that happened, then we started getting creative. And so much so that at the title company, when we closed, she got a check for $241, and her deposit was also credited back to her as well.
That's
her
huge.
mother was my age, maybe a little younger, sitting at the table with her daughter and her 2 young grandchildren, one of them special needs, which adds another element into this girl's life.
Yes.
Her mother was my age, never owned a home, and literally cried at the table because it's never been done before. They didn't know
she
it
got to
could
see
be
it.
done. They didn't even know they could have the dream.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
And I think this is huge because, and this is where education needs to be people's friend. And you can get educated through relationships, right? And so you as someone who you are working in this niche, you have learned all these resources to be able to help people in this niche. That's been huge because you've been able to say, hey, look, it's not like, let's take a situation that's hard to overcome, but not impossible. Like you said,
Right.
there's no impossible deal, just impossible people, right?
You got that right.
That's when we learn when to quit. I'm like, all right. So the reality is that you have invested to learn so that you can help. The difference is that, a confused mind says no. hey, it can't be done
All the time.
all the time.
That's our default.
Yeah, that's that default. And so you're saying, no, let me figure it out. So I appreciate how you're bringing your problem solving skills to the table. But again, having these different tools, working with people who have different tools and resources, it's like working with a handyman that has more than a hammer. Like if someone said, hey, I'll come in and fix up, one of my projects with just a hammer, I'd be like, what else you got? Like,
Right.
because if not, you're going to only be able to do like 2 things. Like, but that's the thing. It's your skills reflect who you can help. And the more skills you have, it's like the more tools you have, meaning it's the more things you can help solve.
Absolutely.
And so what I'm hearing here is that you have a full tool belt. You have a lot of different tools to deal with a lot of different situations. And look, let's be honest, the deals that we do are a direct reflection of our mindset, what we believe is possible, and what we're willing to agree to and do, but also our skill set. And so the deals that I do today are a direct reflection of that. It's either a reflection of the skills I have or the skills I don't have. So if people are like, hey, I haven't been able to help people get a first-time home buyer, down payment assistance. It could be because they don't know and they don't have those resources. So the deals they're doing or not doing are a direct reflection of that. But you sharing this deal and the breakdown of it is I love that the mom was able there to see it, to witness it. Because there very well may be a world where she says, hey, Leslie, can you do that for me too?
Oh, and that actually is happening.
Yes.
And the
Not
interesting
surprised.
thing, the thing that I love about being able to help that niche, because let's be honest, can I go sell $1 million property in the French Quarter and have, a 14-day close with cash on? I mean, what a sweet little deal that is for everybody.
Yeah.
But when you come from a place where you know what it's like to hurt and not have a vision, if you know you can help somebody build a dream, there's a segment of our population that don't even know they can dream that.
Yeah.
They don't even know.
So let's talk about that. How are you educating first time home buyers? Because I think somebody could watch this and be like, okay, this I don't necessarily trust that I'm in a position to be able to buy. How do they kind of dip their toe in? And I'm kind of pointing towards the webinar series that you have. Tell us about that and the plan for that.
So the webinar is basically, what we like to say in the marketing world is top of funnel. So it's my way of getting my knowledge out to the masses. And I don't even care if they use me. I don't care. I have certified first-time homebuyer agents that I can refer them to, or they can go find somebody else. But I want them armed as a result of my education series and my webinar. I want them armed enough to build their dream and go to another agent and say, what about this? Can you do this? How do you do this? What happens here? Because agents don't know, first-time homebuyers and homebuyers in general don't know what they don't know, right? They're just like, well, my aunt is an agent, and she's worked part-time for an agent, and I'm sure she'll help us buy a house. Well, Aunt Cindy can't because she doesn't know. And the buyer doesn't know enough to tell Aunt Cindy that she doesn't know.
Yeah.
And so I just want to say to people that are like, that have a dream of home ownership, that there are resources and there's very few reasons why you can't buy.
Yeah.
Very few.
Yeah. And I mean, so you likely demystify, you got to put 20% down. Everybody feels, me and my wife had our first big fight in our marriage because I wanted to buy a house and she kept telling me, yeah, put 20% down. I'm like, you don't have to do that, right? And most people think that you got to put 20% down, right? And your credit's not high enough, right? And or I don't have enough money to put down on the house, or we talked about 20% down, or the interest rates are too high. I can't afford it. Being able to talk through those things with people, it helps them be able to take a couple steps forward and feel more comfortable about buying a house.
Yeah, absolutely.